The Longbox Crusade presents
Action Film Face-Off.
This episode, it's 1977 versus 2023.
Two films enter.
One film leaves.
2 men enter, 1 man leaves. 2 men enter, 1 man leaves. 2 men enter, 1 man leaves. 2 men enter, 1 man leaves.
But it ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward. That's how winning is done. Now, if you know what you're worth, then go out and get what you're worth. But you got to be willing to take the hits.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Action Film Face-Off. This is the show where 2 random years are selected. My brother will bring an action film from one of the random years. I'll bring one from the other random year. Those 2 films will do battle using a variety of criteria that I don't think is in order. And a champion will be crowned by the end of the episode. I am Jared Albrecht, the Death Probe. My brother is my co-host. His name is Jason, the Weasel Skull. We are both military combat vets. We did all the exact same stuff as Rake did in Extraction 2. And we take our action seriously. Okay, but not too seriously. We're going to have some fun. A quick check with Jason. What kind of an episode do we have here today, my friend? I was 50% blind fire. I had not seen Extraction 2. I had seen Telefon.
I was 50% the other way. I had seen Extraction 2, had not seen Telefon.
All right.
Yes, indeed. We're going to score each of today's films on a scale of 1 to 10 in 5 categories. Those categories are, and Jared, you are absolutely correct. They are not in the correct order. Story, overall spectacle, best action scene, the hero, and the villain. The one thing that's always in the right order, though, is the deduction round. It will be at the end where up to 10 points can be subtracted from the film's total for whatever we determine is the low point of the movie.
Thank you, Jason. We have with us, as usual, a sniper. The sniper has just 1 point to give in each category, so the sniper can sway the scoring by a total of 5 points, which I think mattered on the last episode, our Halloween episode. I think Aaron was our sniper, and it paid off. Now we are here in the November episode of Action Film Face-Off, which is Thanksgiving, and you know who we're most thankful for? And I mean, not only is it Thanksgiving, and we're thankful for this sniper who comes quarterly. There's your big hint. By the way, we're also celebrating 75 episodes of Action Film Face-Off. This is episode 75. So her timing couldn't be better. We are thankful for her. It is the 75th anniversary. You know who it is. It is Captivating Kathy Bright, the MVP. Welcome back. MVP.
Whoop, whoop. Luckily, I'm not quite 75 years old myself just yet. So, hello, fellas. Good evening. How are you? Thank you for letting me join. I feel like it's a special occasion. 75 episodes.
75.
Good job.
Yeah, and if I know Pat's release schedule, this is going to drop right around Thanksgiving, maybe the weekend right after. So hopefully you got a belly full of turkey and cranberry sauce. And,
Gobble, gobble.
And Kathy's enthusiastic. And so, yeah, 75th episode, Thanksgiving time. It's all coming together. Kathy, I can't wait to hear your succinct and unedited response. Oh, just give me a thumbs up like she's ready to go. I have a question for Kathy, as we always ask our guests. The one I cooked up for you this time, Kathy, is we are going to feature Extraction 2. Quite a good action film sequel. Give me your top 3 off the top of your head, action film sequels. Jason is expecting Terminator 2, so don't let him down.
I am on top of it. And Aliens.
Oh, yes.
Correct.
Terminator 2.
Oh, she's killing it. You can do whatever you want on the third one. You got the top 2.
Oh, no, there's a correct answer.
Maverick.
There are 2 correct answers, but I was thinking Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that's true. But I would have if it was a sci-fi best sequel. But I will say I do have an honorable mention. I know y'all love when I add extra. I personally was not a fan of the first of these movies, but the second one made me a fan, and that's Captain America: Winter Soldier.
Oh, that is a good sequel. It is the superior film. I agree. And
I think that's my favorite of the series.
I think it's it might be my favorite MCU film. The more I think of it, I like that one quite a bit. Man, that was good.
That was a good one.
Good lineup, Kathy.
Thank you.
I don't have anything to add. Those were good answers. Kathy did good. Yeah, I don't mean to sound so surprised. I'll try it again. Those were good answers. Kathy did good. Now, before our two films entered the Videodome arena, we're thrilled to kick off this episode with special shout-outs to Crusaders Club members. These are the fine folks who've joined our crusade. They enjoy early access to special Longbox episodes and so much more. These are the folks reaping the benefits and giving some much appreciated support to the show.
Alan W. Wright,
And Helica Wolf.
Oh. Auburn Elvis.
Bill Beer,
Billy D.
Bradley Dello.
Braxton Underwood,
Carrie.
Clinton Robeson.
Captain Entropy,
Clark Westfield.
Dave Collins.
Battle wagon.
Eric Hodges,
Eric Porter.
Ezra Gallo.
Gary V,
Gene Hendricks.
George Meal.
Gerald Green,
Heinz K.
Jason King.
Jason Lady,
Jeff Polier.
Jeremy L.
Jim Jarman, Jim Jarman, Jim Jarman, Jim Jarman. I hope you like Jim Jarman too.
Jim Meal.
Joe Man Conan.
Joe Thomas,
John Watson.
Josh Strickland.
Candace Ward,
Kate Brigitte? Kate Brigitte? I'm kidding. It's captivating Kathy Bright, the MVP.
that's me.
Matt and Lizzie Passo.
Mark Ross,
Maxwell Traver.
Michael Minton.
Miranda W,
P.D. Devons.
Paul Hicks.
Rick from Jeff and Rick Present,
Easter Day. All my troubles seem so far away, but we're thanking Ronald Easter Day. Oh, I believe in Easter Day.
Rob Morgan.
Samantha Maney,
Sean Urbanski.
Spidey 67.
Spreadsheet,
Steve Cronin.
Tim Price.
Tony Pennington,
And Toronto Cop.
If we miss anyone on the list, we apologize. Keep in mind we record these episodes well in advance of release. So if you're a recent edition, we'll be adding you soon. But no worries. Let us know we missed you by sending an email to contact@longboxcrusade.com. We will get it straightened out. And if you're asking yourself, how do I get in on this? How do I become a Crusaders Club member? Very simple. Go to patreon.com/longboxcrusade. For as little as $1 a month, you get access to the amazing world of Crusaders Club. We do recommend maybe do it through your PC. There's an app on the phone. We're happy to get your support wherever we get it. But I think it's financially better for everybody if you do it through the PC. But whatever. We appreciate everybody who joins the club, and we encourage you to come check it out.
$1, man, that's cheap, but we got miles to go before we sleep. So let's get back to the combat and learn a little bit about film gladiators about to battle for your pleasure.
This episode, I was assigned the year of 1977. And while you might have thought, well, pretty much only Star Wars and Sorcerer came out in 1977. Oh, and Spy Who Loved Me. We found another one.
We've been keeping Spy Who Loved Me in the hole.
We still haven't covered it. Just waiting for 77 to come again. Yep. We found another one. I selected Telefon or Telephone, however you want to pronounce it. I say Telefon for this movie. I don't know. We'll see how everybody pronounces it. What year did the randomizer select for you, Jason?
Well, I got 2023 and put into our Videodome arena Extraction 2.
Oh, man. We got to find matchup, folks. They're far apart in years, but I'm telling you, I watched them both, and they're both really good. So it's important to point out that this isn't Jared versus Jason. We each had to select from our assigned year. I might very well like his selection better than mine or vice versa. This is all about us discussing some beloved action films and coming to a consensus on which one is this episode's champion. Around the room of where we saw it, Telephone I have on my Plex. I just discovered the movie maybe 6 months ago, so it was exciting to bring it to Action Film Face Off. And Extraction 2, I think it's a Netflix exclusive. That's where I watched it. Kathy, how did you watch these films?
exactly the same. And yeah, there won't be any box office numbers for Extraction 2, obviously, because it was not at the box office.
Failure. Made $0.
Absolutely. But yeah, Jared's Plex server for Telephone. I say Telephone. And Netflix for Extraction 2.
Jason.
Well, Jared, you saw Telephone a while back and said, hey, this is really good. So I ordered it on Blu-ray. So I watched it on Blu-ray. That's right. I went old school, watched it in the nice, beautiful, crisp color and everything. So it was really cool. And then I saw Extraction 2 on Netflix.
Oh, man, I'm kind of jealous of that Blu-ray. I bet it did look really good. You know, I have a pretty good digital copy of it, but man, it's can't compete, I bet, with that Blu-ray. You can see all the 70s graininess in it. You can see Charlie's whiskers, every single one.
That's right. See all the little strings on his rope?
Okay, now here's your spoiler warning, folks. We're going to play a little musical bit for you, and on the other side of it, anything goes. So if you haven't seen Telefon or Extraction 2, now is the time to go do that. You can pause it. We'll be here when you get back. Okay, welcome back. Let me jump in with some quick information on 1977's Telefon.
There are more than 200 million people living in the United States today. 51 of them are Soviet deep cover agents, hypnotically programmed to become instruments of total destruction. They don't know who they are, but one man knows that all it will take to trigger them is a simple phone call.
Bascom's Auto Repair.
The woods are lovely, dark, and deep, but I have promises to keep, and miles to go before I sleep. Remember, Nicolene, miles to go before you sleep.
MGM presents Telefon, code name for the most explosive motion picture of the year. Starring Charles Bronsan as Major Grigory Borzov of the KGB.
In all the world, who is the most secret agent? Anyone who manages to stay secret.
He has a photographic memory.
Nothing in there must be written down, only transferred to your memory.
He will do anything he has to stop Telefon. Also starring Lee Remick.
Who are all those men whose names you've written? And why all the cities and the map?
I'd like to go back to Moscow, remembering you as being alive. Can you help me accomplish that?
She's a secret agent with more than one secret.
The KGB believes in you. Just follow their orders. Kill him when he's killed Alchimsky.
She will do anything she's told to stop Telefon.
If he talks, he could possibly start a nuclear war. We can't gamble that it won't.
Together, they must accomplish what the two most sophisticated intelligence organizations in the world cannot.
That's how Alchimsky's been doing it.
Even simpler, he uses the telephone.
It will take them on a desperate chase across 2 continents, pit them against their own governments, and lead them into incredible danger. The next time your phone rings, how do you know it won't be your turn? You'll never know until you see Charles Bronsan, Lee Remick, and Donald Pleasance in Telefon.
Okay, your cast and crew is as follows. It stars Charles Bronsan, Lee Remick, Donald Pleasance, and I'll even shout out a little Tyne Daly. She had a fun part in that movie as well. It was directed by Don Siegel. Synopsis goes a little something like this. Russian assets have been hidden deep in America. So deep, even the brainwashed assets don't know their destructive missions until they are unlocked with a key phrase. And now a rogue Soviet asset is activating them without the approval of the Russian government. To prevent World War III, the Russians send one of their best assets, Major Borzov, to stop the rogue agent. In a world where every agent seems to be a double agent, can Borzov stop the rogue agent in time? Who can he really trust? And I hand it to Kathy for the interesting trivia.
The first trivia nugget I would like to talk about is Charles Bronson was asked to shave his notorious mustache by director Don Siegel. He thought it would help with his disguise once he came to the United States. Bronson said, "No mustache, no Bronson."
Man takes his stash seriously.
The giant building explosion that happened, I guess it was about midway through the film, it was actually a controlled demolition, which I kind of thought to myself when I was watching that. I was like, I wonder if they truly demolished this building. But it was a high school in Montana where they did some of the filming, and it was a controlled demolition of that building. The film is connected to a very popular 90s action film. A young Rennie Harlan was on set for filming of Telefon and was inspired to become a director. Harlan would later direct none other than Die Hard 2, which was based off the book 58 Minutes, which was written by Telefon author Walter Wager.
Huh, that's pretty cool. By the way, that's how I discovered Telefon. I found the novelization of the Walter Wager book.
I bet the book's good. Is the book good?
I bet it is. I found it at Goodwill. The movie had come out because the cover was now Charles Bronson and all that. And I was like, this looks awesome. And that's how I went and found it. And
so was it worth any money? Because if it wasn't worth money, then you can still read it. But if it's worth money,
I think I sold it already. I think I might have sold it. Anyway, over to Jason.
All right. So I'll give you good folks the rundown on 2024's Extraction 2.
Tyler, you were clinically dead 9 months ago. But you survived. You fought your way back. You just have to find out why. We got a contract. You were the client's request.
We gotta move!
Right, everyone okay? Kids, you good?
Why did you come back for them? Do you know her? Tyler?
Getting you out of here, okay? She told me to find the reason I fought my way back. Let's find out.
The cast and crew starred Chris Hemsworth and Golshifteh Farahani. It was directed by Sam Hargrave. Synopsis goes a little something like this. And in full disclosure, I was a little busy this week. So the first part is Jared's. I fleshed it out a little bit. Jared, thank you for putting in, and I quote, Buddha, 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 blam, stabby, stab, stab.
You're welcome.
That's pretty much
borderline haiku, I think.
Yeah. So here's mine. I said, Rake lives. He survived Extraction 1 and is now living a peaceful, well-earned retirement in Austria. That is until his ex-wife needs a small favor. She needs him to fight through a Georgian prison, piss off an army of criminal mercenaries, and rescue her dumbass sister and kids. You know, as a divorced man, I have to say I would have better boundaries. I would have been like, you want me to what? No, man.
I don't think Jason helped his ex get her car out of the garage.
No, it's not my problem anymore. But lucky for us, he's not me. He's Tyler Rake, and we can let the extraction begin and the bullets fly. And Kathy will take us into Trivia Town.
All right. The most impressive one take. Let me repeat that. One take action sequence during the first act of the film is 21 minutes long. It took 4 to 5 months to rehearse and 29 days to shoot. I think we might all agree. Worth it. This movie shares the same prison filming location as in Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol, which I know is a favorite among some of us in the room.
I thought I recognized that prison.
Yes. Per interviews with the cast, this film has very little visual effects, and the actors did almost all of their scenes without stuntmen. Most notably, the stunt team really landed that helicopter on that train. And I do have, this is not a trivia, but I wanted to add just a quick little question for the fellas. Can you name the 3 80s action films action classics to which nods were given during this movie?
Oh my goodness.
Oh gosh.
Okay, I'm gonna need a little hint. Are you saying like they were scenes that were similar to other movies, or they were like little?
Yeah, there were scenes that should have made you think, "Oh, that reminds me of so and so," or "That reminds me of so and so."
I will say the scene at the end with the helicopter that's shooting into the building with the tracers kind of reminded me of both True Lies and Last Action Hero. Am I on the right track? Is that kind of what you're looking for?
That's kind of what I'm looking for. Good, very good guess, but no, not one of the three that they list.
Mm.
And these are 80s classics. Like I know, I'm pretty sure y'all have done all of these movies on Action Film Face Off.
Any nods to John Voight's Runaway Train?
No, they're more mainstream.
Mm.
Commando.
Correct. They list that the furnace. There was a fight near a furnace. Yes, that's supposedly from a nod to Commando. You got one, two more.
I just started naming 80s action films.
Rambo.
Very close. Very close. You got the right actor.
What other action films was he in?
Think of the very first scene where Chris Hemsworth showing off a little bit with his
Rocky
axe.
IV.
Well, they just say Rocky style training montage.
Okay, because he's in the snow.
The Rocky style training montage.
My mind went to Rocky IV.
And the last one I'll just give to you since you both technically got one. The explosive device down an elevator.
Die Hard.
Die Hard.
Yay! Good job.
That was fun.
I like it.
That's the end of my trivia / I guess that would be a trivia question for you guys.
That's a little twist. I like that. All right. And now that we have the basics on today's contestants.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Test your might.
Let's get ready to rumble!
Fight.
It's a street fight.
Oh, yeah. Let's get going, folks. As you know, we have 2 films, 5 categories. It means 10 possible matches. And we like to play a little game called Match Game. I have not seen Jason's scores. He's not seen mine. How many times are we going to match? Good luck out there, listening audience. Kathy, you got a guess?
I'm going to say 6.
Okay. I was like, 6 to 8 seems to be the sweet spot, really, for us. But we'll find. All right. She went with 6. I'll make a note of it. Maybe she'll win the prize at the end, which is still nothing. And speaking of scores, here's your barometer. We score everything on a scale of 1 to 10. 5 means it's okay. It's average. You watched it on a pretty good made-for-TV movie. 4, 3, 2, 1, you got things to work on. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, you got yourself a good movie. Let's get into round 1.
I'm going to kill them all, sir.
Round 1 is the story. How engaging or original is your story? We start with Kathy in 1977, Telefon.
Well, I was quite intrigued, I guess, with this story. I feel like it's probably used a lot. You know, it's a spy movie. There wasn't tons of action. I felt like it was more of a thriller, maybe.
Fair.
But I really enjoyed it. I like some of the twists that I was not expecting of her being a double agent. It's like, oh, she was sent to kill him.
Deceptive web they weave.
I know. So it was simple. You know, it was easy to follow. So I quite enjoyed it.
Yeah, I agree. I think simple with just enough little twistiness to it to keep you going. An engaging film for me as well, but it's Jason's turn to talk.
You know, the Manchurian Candidate, they did that like 50 times, man. That's a lot of Manchurian Candidates out there. All seriousness, man, it was a thriller. And Kathy's right. There were a lot of twists and turns in there, and yet they were able to lay it out in sequence so that you always kind of knew what was going on, and yet you also had surprises that came out. And they were very clever in the way that they did some of the story elements. I noticed that it got a PG rating. I'm sure it would be like PG-13 today at the very least, but like when she had to go and murder that priest, that was dark. And the way that they laid that out was just a really good piece of storytelling without it being overly macabre. So, I mean, lots of tension just layered out through this thing. I was sweating bullets in some places. I will say the one thing I thought was funny in the script, though, is when Charles Bronson was like, I'm going to need more bullets. He fired one bullet the whole time. Fired it one time, man. But really good story.
Yeah, I just not realized it. I was like, well, a lot of people shot at that snake, but I think that was the sheriff and his deputy.
Oh, they were. I feel bad for the snake.
I didn't. I was like, go, snake, go.
Get out of there. Get out, snake.
Oh, it's funny, Jason. I have a suspicion when we get to scoring that you and I might be a little apart on it just because I gave it a bonus point as I was writing it down. I was like, I thought the story was X, but I plussed it one because I was like, it's original. Like, this is 77. They haven't been doing this before, but you just dropped Manchurian Candidate on me. I was like, oh, I guess they did do it before. And my funny thought that I had about the story as I was going through it was they said there was, I think, 50 something sleeper agents they had that they could have called up. And I was like, man, the odds of one of these guys eventually going to a Robert Frost poetry reading night at his local library.
Because it used to be an armory or something.
Man, oh man.
Well, but that's one of the elements I liked about it, because the realistic part of it was they had planted those guys in there like 20 years ago. And so much had changed over the course of that time that the targets no longer made sense. Those were highly strategic targets like in the 1950s. But by 1977, they're something else entirely in some cases and worthless. And that adds to the mystery that the CIA is trying to figure out, like, what the heck, man?
Why would you even?
Right. Yeah. But it was really cool storytelling.
All right. Well, we may end up matching because I'm a little enthusiastic on it too. Let's shift gears to 2023 and Extraction 2. Kathy, back to you. Go.
Stabby, stab.
Yep, that's correct. That's what my notes say.
I mean,
there's not a lot there. I know.
I was going to say story. It's pretty much just going and trying to rescue somebody. So there's not tons of story. I mean, you get a little backstory about him and his ex-wife, a little more. I mean, we learned about his son, but I don't think they ever mentioned that she had a sister or anything. And so you learn a little more story, but it was interesting. I liked it. It was easy to follow, but not much to it.
Yeah. You don't need a ton. You don't need a ton for this. I concur.
One's a story movie. One's an action movie.
Yeah. Let's see what Jason has to add.
Well, we said it. 21-minute action scene. You got
we have to save that to the spectacle part.
But you got to have something to glue the 21-minute action scene to the 15-minute action scene to the 20-minute action scene. To the culmination 15-minute action scene.
Jason has cracked the code of this film.
And that code, and I said it at the beginning, because this would have been a short movie if, like, my ex-wife came in and was like, I need you to rescue my sister. And I'd be like, how about no? Yeah. How about I go back to doing my things and you go take care of your own business? But he's Rake, so he's going to go in there and do it. To be perfectly honest, I didn't care about the relationship with the ex-wife. The son thing was like, I'm sure that's deep and meaningful in some ways, but I'm just like, when are you going to kill somebody else with an axe? That's really what I want to know. So they tried. They tried to put a little heart in there, but for me, it was all about the business with the action. Yeah, so basically, it's go rescue this family and spend the rest of the movie trying to get them to safety.
You said, speaking of heart, I'm towards the end, I'm thinking the brother-sister duo. I'm like, why are they doing all this for this dude's ex-wife's sister? Like, I'm like, I don't know that I would go through all those two went through. I mean, I guess it was part of their business because weren't they all in business together? I don't know. I was
they had I couldn't do it. Loyalty to each other. And boy, and I guess this probably more belongs in the hero round, but like, I was like, oh, the pretty gal from the first one's got a brother, and the brother's cool. And then my little light went off, and I was like, he's not going to make it. He is not going to make it.
Spoilers.
I was like, oh, he's so likable. Oh, no.
I did like, him I liked. I cared about
he's likable. He's good at his job. He's funny. He's a good young man. I was like, oh, no.
He was kind of a little dude, that's like, it kind of... he was guys like, it's not the size of the dog in the fight, the size of fighting the dog, son, because he was whooping up. I liked him.
You guys got it right. There's not a ton of story to hang on, and when it does, you're just like, yeah, okay, let's go kill some people. But I will say that I thought, especially at the beginning, Rake was basically disappointed that they'd saved him. This is a guy that he wanted to die. He was done.
100%.
He was done. And I think that's a big part of why he took the mission from the ex-wife, because he was like, well, I don't want to make it, but this is what I do. So, I'm either going to go rescue somebody, hooray for me, or I'm going to die, and I don't care. And I thought that was depressing, but, he played it well. I tried. Okay, that's all I can do. Let's go ahead and score him. 1977's Telefon. Jason, 1 to 10.
Ocho, man, I gave it an 8. I thought it was really good. I think maybe I gave a false indicator that I thought it was a knockoff of Manchurian Candidate. But really what I thought was, this is very clever in the way that it made sense. If you did something like the Manchurian Candidate and you could plant all of these assets all throughout the United States, vulnerable targets during the Cold War, that's scary, that's insidious, and it's brilliant. And I liked it. Good writing, good imagination. 8 from me.
Match game number 1. I have it at an 8 as well. Again, I thought it was creative. Like you said, scary, thriller, insidious, believable. It had a lot going for it. And we haven't gotten there yet, but talk about picking the right people. Like, I think everybody who was cast, fantastic. But we'll get to the heroes and villains shortly. Shifting gears to Extraction 2 2023. Not a ton of story, but well executed. Jason, where'd you land?
I gave it a 6. It's enough cartilage to hold the bones together. It's an action piece, and the story is just there to get you from action set to action set. It does a job well enough.
Concur. Match game number 2. We're off to a strong start. Kathy, Jason and I favored Telefon's story over Extraction 2's story. Do you agree, or are you going to shake things up?
I am going to agree. I will give my bullet to Telefon.
There you have it. Round 1 is in the books.
Put the knife away and shut your mouth.
All right. Well, that's going to bring us to round 2. And round 2 is the hero. How cool is the hero and the hero's ensemble? Their sidekicks, their partners in crime, whatever. And we'll start with Kathy on Telefon.
I have only seen a few Charles Bronson movies, and I'm kind of a fan. I believe I'm not sure how late in his career this was. I think he was 55 or so, which is just a couple of years older than me and Jason when he did this. But I like him as the hero. He was very calm and very matter of fact. Like, he didn't go off the handle for anything. It's like, he seems like he would be an excellent spy.
Yeah, he seems very capable. Yeah,
absolutely. And I love the pairing with her. I think she did a great job too. She was very meticulous, very, like, when she went in, like you said, to go kill that priest, I was like, oh, she was focused. She did it.
About the business.
And didn't she say something about she didn't think it was necessary, but she was told to do anything he told her or asked of her to do. And so she did it.
Well, yeah, she said, I'll do it for you, but I need to know there's a reason behind it. And so that's how she kind of got him to open up a little bit about the plot was about. Because, I mean, he wasn't telling her anything at the beginning.
Now, I will say, I do want to add before I step away from the hero, I think Tyne Daly could have had such a bigger role in this film. I think she was great. She brought such a fun energy. Like, I feel like the CIA really wasn't even necessary in this. I mean, yes, they were kind of behind the scenes trying to figure it out, but I don't know. I think she could have had a much bigger part of helping figure out, because I feel like she was the key for them figuring out what was going on, because she was so good.
Largely agree. Very capable was old Charlie Bronson, and you could tell he was that capable because he's the one that they called in. Jared, what do you have to add?
Yeah, just underline what y'all said. He was great because he had that, like Kathy said, he was calm but direct. Like, mess this up, I'll kill you. Not in a mean way. Not a mean way. Just kind of, I will kill you. This and that. And then you find out, well, she's going to kill him. It's like, what? But yeah, just clearly we're focusing on him. And then, what was her name? The actress's name, Lee Remick, I think. She was
Lee
great
Remick, yeah.
Playing off of him. Then we would step away and see what's going on the CIA. And Tyne Daly was just really charming. And the CIA guys were kind of a lot of fun. You could tell that, it was the 80s and she was the computer girl, so that made her weird, but like they really liked each other. Like it was fun. It was a good dynamic. Every time we stepped away to something else, and we'll get to the villain in a minute.
Oh yeah, we will.
Everything was good. So yeah, I got a good score coming.
All right. Sounds good. Kathy, let's move on over to Extraction 2, and you can tell me what you thought about Tyler Rake and crew.
Yes.
Thank you. That's probably all we need from Kathy.
Talk about capable. I mean, I feel like if someone truly asked Chris Hemsworth to go do this mission, he probably honestly could in real life.
For at least 21 minutes.
True. I do question him being able to do all that. Only, what was it, 8 or 9 months after he was practically dead. Or no, he was in a coma.
I think he had 6 weeks to train, if I remember.
But he was in a coma for like 8 or 9 months, I think.
Right, yeah.
But they put him in a montage, so,
Yeah.
Especially the scene where he's like hanging from the thing and holding on to her. I'm like, his shoulder was jacked. Like,
well, he was shot in the hand too.
Right through the hand. I was like Peter Griffin, like,
I thought his partners were great too. We already talked about the brother-sister duo. They were great too. So I'm sure we all wanted to punch the kid in the face multiple times.
Teenage kids in movies, man. Where's Jason Voorhees when you need him?
Again, another point where the movie would have ended is like, yeah, kid left with the dad, man. Nothing I could do. I will say, as I was watching that prison fight, I couldn't help but think we had Thor, then we had Hulk, because he got hit in the head with a brick and it just pissed him off and he got madder and fought harder. And then we had Captain America because he got a shield and started whacking on people with a shield. So he was like 3 Avengers in one there. But
maybe I'll talk about this here. It's so odd to me when you say, he got hit by the brick. It's like, what human being could really get hit with a brick like that, look like he should have birds flying around his head about to pass out, and then go and do what he did and fight all those people off like within a minute?
Combat adrenaline is a hell of a drug. That's all I can say.
I mean, I guess, but because the same thing with the scene in the church at the end where he's literally has stabbed the guy 7 times and he's still crawling, buddy. I'm like, I would have passed out after the first stab. I'm sorry.
Ow, stop it.
Things rusty. I haven't had my tetanus booster. Oh, Jared, save us. Talk to us about Tyler Rake. What are your thoughts?
I think he's going to get a good score just because it helps that he's in a sequel. Like, he's established this really cool, combat character in part 1, and he goes full video game mode in part 2. Part of me was like, okay, we're in video game mode when he's on the train and he's got Gatling guns taking on multiple helicopters. I was like, I feel like I played this video game. But then I was like, this is just so much fun to watch him do this. I put on X today or yesterday. I said, I stay grumpy about modern films. Everybody knows that about me. But the Extraction series, basically since the early 2000s, I'm looking at Mission Impossible, I'm looking at John Wick, and I'm looking at Extraction. Those are the kings of the action franchises. Those are the action films I gravitate towards. And he's really created something here. Again, it doesn't have to be super deep. He's just so good at what he does.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you add in like his female partner, and she's so perfectly cast because it's really hard, whether this is fair or not, in Hollywood, it's really hard to cast sexy and believable in combat, and she does so well.
Oh, she's
there. I won't name names, but there's movies where I watch and the girl power action's going on. And I'm like, okay. Okay.
Is one of her names Christmas? Maybe.
I'm not commenting on it anyway. I'm just like, okay, but she is believable, and the chemistry between them is good. And then you add in her little brother. It was a good group. This is one of the stronger parts of the film for me. Well, action scene spectacle are coming, but this is a good one.
Yeah. And then at the end too, it's like, I want to know, like, who's he work for? Who's he going to work for in Extraction 3, Jared?
From what I'm looking at, it has to be Odin, because I saw Thor and I saw Heimdall.
Oh yeah, Heimdall's there. Yep.
I don't think it was lost on me that the church fight, didn't he pick up a hammer? I think he reached and grabbed a hammer.
He did reach and grab a hammer.
I completely missed that. Maybe it's Loki. Maybe him and Loki are going to hook up.
That's right. You know, if they brought him in, the actor, as the boss, that'd be cool. What's his name? Tom
Hiddleston.
Tom Hiddleston.
Because I was wondering, it's like there was the rumor going around that Idris Elba was going to be like playing 007. Like maybe he's like a 00, and you know what I'm saying?
Mad about it. I wouldn't be mad about it.
I don't know. Okay. This is wish casting. This is Jason wish casting here.
Yeah, I wouldn't fight you on it. It's cool.
We got dreamy Jason right now.
Okay. I think we went through everything, right? So now we got to do is score it. So let's put scores to him. Jared, what are you giving old Charlie Bronson for Telefon?
You know, Charlie kind of starts at a 7 for me. And this is one of the movies I think I like. I call it top tier Charlie. And like Kathy, I haven't seen a ton of them, but I've got a good handful of them. And I really like him in this. And the supporting cast is great. 8.
Oh, okay. You liked him a little more than I did. I was solid 7 with him throughout. So I think for me, what would have put it over the top if I would have gotten a little more backstory on him a little bit. But I would have liked a little more backstory, maybe even than the CIA folks. But I don't know. It was fun. It was fine. 7 for me. All right. Extraction 2, Rake.
You know, it's a high compliment when you tell someone they have exceeded Roger Moore in A View to a Kill. And I'm going to say he and his team did 8. Solid 8. Very fun to watch.
Match game. I gave him an 8 as well. For me, it's all about the physicality. As Kathy said, so much of this is done without stunt people. This is just, you got to be in some top shape for this.
Yeah, did he seem leaner?
He did.
I thought he was bulkier in the first one, which made sense because he had to go through rehab or whatever. But I felt like he was leaner, but still tough, obviously.
Oh, man. Yeah, still. I mean, I wish I had those muscles.
I was going to say the second one was filmed right after, or it was around COVID. So I don't know.
Oh, okay.
And maybe and I'm sure probably one of them had to be like in his Thor body versus his,
right, yeah,
everyday non-Thor body.
Yeah, his everyday regular dreamy self. That is extra dreamy self.
You just look normal dreamy, not Marvel dreamy. All right, Kathy, sniper bullet time. Who's getting it?
Well, considering this is action film face-off, and I do like I said, haven't seen a lot, but I'm enjoying the Charles Bronson movies I have seen. I think he did a great job, but just not enough action for him to get my bullet. So I'm going action hero Chris Hemsworth.
Did you factor in the mustache at all for Charles Bronson?
You got to factor in that mustache.
I mean, I am from the 80s, so
Well, Jared, he made Lee Remick get him extra bullets that he never used, so he's got some of the bullets.
He does get bullets to spare.
All right, I'm going to pass it on to you because I think that wraps up round 2.
It does. Let's go to round 3. Round 3 is the villain. I like round 3. How memorable is your villain? How entertaining is your villain? Got some pretty good competition on this one. Jason gets to go first this time. Telefon, 1977. Donald Maurice Feldman Pleasance. Blofeld himself. That's got to be an enhancer, Jason. Hit me with it.
I've never figured out Donald Pleasance. He kind of looks like my old father-in-law, if I'm being honest. And yet he can still kind of seem very creepy. And he seems really creepy in this movie. The moment that stood out to me, he's in the middle of calling these sleeper agents. He chooses a phone booth across the street from the church. I mean, it makes sense. So he can look in and watch the effect on the priest as he triggers his coding. And that scene gave me goose flesh, man. Just him looking in on the priest while he's on the phone. You can see him outside that. And only Donald Pleasance can pull this off. I mean, there's nothing really physically imposing about him or anything, but like the way he stares with his eyes, he was perfectly cast. I mean, this guy was just nuts. He just wanted to start. Not only did he want to start World War III, he wanted to sign his name to it. He was going real, and that's creepy. They got the perfect guy to play him. Enough said.
Yeah, when you think about it, man, could have hired any actor to make a few phone calls, and yet somehow he brings Kathy.
I 100% agree. He is perfect. I still think like Tyne Daly, I feel like he could have been used even more because it was just what he was in the film, maybe 15 minutes total, just the phone booths or just the phone call scenes. But I think he was a great villain. But like you said, it's creepy because nobody ever saw him coming because, he has the distance of the phone and he's just making the phone calls. He's not physically having to do anything to take these sleeper agents out. So, but no, I thought he was cast very well and did a good job.
100%. He's got what I call John Malkovich syndrome, which I think Jason was alluding to. Like I see him and John Malkovich physically, and I'm like, yeah, I could beat him up. But then they start doing their thing, and you're like, I don't want to. No, I don't want any part of this.
I don't want any of this.
I was listening really close for some Michael Myers music in the background in those first opening scenes.
I mean, again, he makes that movie. He's that guy where you're like, I need my movie to have an enhancer. Someone called Donald Pleasance. It's perfect. Let's go to Extraction in part 2 in 2023. A Russian guy with the weird eye and the hearing aids. It's a very ableist movie.
It's very ADA centric. Yes. I thought he was really good too. I think in a movie like Extraction 2, you need to have villains that are memorable, that can physically match up against your protagonist in a believable way and bring a little something extra. And he did that in spades. Number one is physicality. Like he looked good, like moving with his weapon, fighting. Like he looked like he was going blow to blow with Rake. Matched his intensity. Rake had that combat trained willpower, and he had like this crazy energy from just his brutal childhood and growing up in that criminal family. There was a little piece of me that felt for him a little bit, when he lost his brother and that scene where he's he's losing his mind in there. He had like one mission in his life, and that was to protect his brother, and he failed in that. And so you understand he's going to chase Rake and his brother's wife to the ends of the earth, and you get it. You understand why, and that adds a layer of intensity and threat. Just a really good, memorable villain. He had a cool looking crew with him too, man. They all looked about the business. So yeah, good matchup in villainy here.
I agree. As we talked about in the original John Wick, its weakest point was the villainy matchup at the end was John Wick versus an old man. This did not have that problem. Just I want to go on the record here on Action Film Face Off, Jason. If a guy like Rake murders you, I will send him a strongly worded letter. It's best I can do.
That's pretty much it. You'll hear from my attorney.
Kathy, what'd you think about the Russian villainy of Extraction 2?
I enjoyed it. I liked the first half when it was the brothers together. I'm like, how controlling of a man do you have to be where you bring your wife and children into jail with you and keep them locked in a cage to protect them? I mean, yeah, these two brothers had some serious...
And somehow sold it to your teenage son that this is a normal life.
Right.
He was idolized.
He was trying to protect us. You were in jail with the worst criminals out there. But I agree with everything Jason said. Very well cast. They kind of all blend together, but I think the actor that played the main villain did stand out enough with, like, were those earplugs? I was thinking that was, he had like that cauliflower ear thing going on.
He did, and he had hearing aids as well.
Oh, okay,
He had
okay.
damaged ears, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because his dad had beaten him. So
Okay, that's why I couldn't remember. But he looked, and with the scars on his face, he looked just different enough where you could pick him out when they're in the group shooting at everything. So
yeah, that was necessary because my only complaint about villainy, and we'll score him here in a second, is we're like in the early 90s, probably all the way into the early 2000s. Remember how it was like very common to have Arab bad guys? I'm kind of burned out on Russian bad guys at this point. Like, I mean, but what else are you going to do? Like, which group you want to piss off?
Georgian.
Oh, my bad. Former Soviet, and you know what I'm saying. Like, this is where every movie goes now. Although, to be fair, Extraction 1 was different. They did the whole India, Pakistan. I can't remember.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
But so anyway, I get it. The Russians are the bad guy flavor for about the last 20 years now.
Every movie can't be like Maverick, where they generic. They never tell. They never tell you. Never tell you what the enemy is.
And then as the credits rolls, it was like, thanks for watching Top Gun Maverick. By the way, they were Georgians. All right. Let's go back and score it. Jason, 1 to 10. Telephone. Donald Pleasance did a good job. Didn't see a lot of them, though. Let's see what the score reflects.
Kathy hit the nail on the head with that one. What we got was good, really good, like top-notch Pleasance. We didn't get a lot of them, so 7 from me.
Match game number 4. Going to Extraction 2, the Electric Boogaloo. You have a guy whose name I'm not going to remember, the Mean Brother, and his crew. What do you got?
Much for the same reason that Rake got a 7 for the physicality, Villain gets it for the same reason. Memorable, good backstory that I remember, and a good matchup for our protagonist. 7 from me here as well.
Match game number 5. Even though he's kind of generic Georgian bad guy, they did give us enough backstory to make you go, okay, I'm clocking in. Really sold it to me, by the way, when he shot his own dude in a very calm moment. That scene I thought was like, okay, yeah, he's definitely all the way.
That was his uncle, man.
Oh, was it? That was his uncle?
Yeah.
Oh, I missed that. I knew that he was close, but I didn't realize that was that was awful.
Was that the death with the pitchfork?
No,
Okay.
That was the one.
Calmly shot that dude, and he was holding his Bible, I think, and he started bleeding out all over his Bible. And
sorry.
It's hard to watch. Oh my goodness, I gotta check in with Kathy and find out Donald Pleasance or Russian dude with scars.
I am going to go with Extraction 2 for pretty much what y'all said. The character was much more fleshed out. We had backstory. We could kind of understand why he was the way he was and his motivation for doing the things he were doing, the closeness that he had with his brother. So why it kind of sent him over the edge when his brother got killed. So I think they did a much better job. So my bullet goes to Extraction 2.
All right. 7s all across the board for Telephone and Extraction 2 for me and Jason. So you were definitely deciding this category. Just for all our listeners out there, she picked against Donald Pleasance. Once again, Kathy Bright picked against Donald Pleasance. Back to you, Jason.
It was that blonde wig. It was gross.
That blonde wig, that could have been a deduction. I was like, bad choice, Don.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass.
Okay, so round 4, we're going to overall spectacle. So we're going to look at how visually engaging the film is overall. Not just visually, but we're also going to take into account like the soundtrack, the audio effects, and all that good stuff. Lots of stunts, lots of action, cinematography. I think there's one of these is going to go click clack on the other though, but I'm getting ahead of myself. And I'll let Jared speak to the overall spectacle of Telephone.
Surprisingly good. A late 70s film. There's something about 70s films that are all we kind of laugh, gritty and grainy. And this one had the charming amount of that, but it still had, in the way it was shot and frame and soundtrack and all that stuff, it feels almost like an 80s movie, like an early 80s movie, if that makes sense to our listeners out there. But I thought it looked good. I thought it showed us some really, because it went all across the United States to different places. So you got to see some neat countryside, even though some of it's not super exciting, just the way they filmed it. It's very Americana, if you will. The scenes filmed in Russia were believable. I don't know where they filmed them, but they looked good. So a lot of it is what the films look, the way it's shot, the way it's blocked. Not 100% sure I've ever seen a lone phone booth on the top of an overpass before. At the very end, that was weird.
Maybe in 77.
Maybe in 77. I don't know. But I thought the soundtrack did a good job with what it was. Not hugely standout, but real solid. And I thought it looked good. And when it was time, again, not as much of an action film, but when it was time for an explosion or a gunfight in a rundown in a parking garage, these are all things that could be fairly banal, but they found a way through their camera angles and their sound editing and stuff to kind of take them to another level, which I didn't see a lot in the 70s. So I have an appreciation here.
Yeah, I would say a spectacle. We didn't get a whole lot, but the spectacle that was there was good and realistic, brutally realistic, in some of those cases. I thought it was kind of funny because when he was running down the escalator at that hotel in Texas, I was like, man, you're gonna get shot. You're gonna need those extra bullets because you're pissing off a lot of Texans, dude.
Yeah, run around with your gun out in Texas. That's fair game, man.
That's like, man, you need to rethink this.
Be more subtle, man.
And just to add to the trivia for both of those, Finland is where they shot. That's what doubled for Russia.
Oh, okay.
And the hotel you're talking about that was in Texas, it was actually the Hyatt in San Francisco, not in Texas.
Oh, that explains it.
Well, then
nobody's got to fight him.
Just get a free reign. Okay.
You know, they had to give some of those San Franciscans some cowboy hats because I saw some cowboy hats on that escalator.
Apparently, it's the same hotel they used in Towering Inferno, which is a super popular movie.
Yeah,
from,
I've seen it.
Isn't that from the 70s or is it earlier?
It's one of those 70s disaster flicks. Yeah.
Oh, those are good. We have
Frank
one of those
Sinatra,
on- I think so. Yeah. Man, oh man. Okay. Well, Kathy, what are your thoughts on the overall spectacle of Telephone?
I pretty much agree with Jared. It's for being from 1977. It definitely had its ups. It wasn't boring. I love the trivia note about the building because like I said, I feel like I could tell that it was a true building that they demolished in that scene. And I thought that was pretty cool. I like the car scene that you were talking about. I don't really remember much as far as sound design or anything. I don't know if it was just because it was the first watch and it just wasn't in my headspace at the time, but I don't remember much as far as sound editing or anything. But visually, I thought it was good. Also, like Jared said, I liked they did different parts, different countries for different things, and it wasn't just a stationary film. So I enjoyed it.
I agree. I like that part Jared said about the Americana. I watched this with my son Drake, and he really kind of got an appreciation of why, because I told him, I said, this was kind of like what America looked like when I was growing up. I was like 6 years old, so the phone booths everywhere, the way the hotels were designed, some of the restaurants that are still around today and the look that they had. So I think he got an appreciation of it, which was a little added bonus for me.
Nice.
Jared, we're going to talk about the overall spectacle of Extraction. I'm just going to let you go on. I'm going to make a sandwich and I'll come back and see if you're done.
I might be able to keep this one pretty short. I mean, this is a spectacle film. I've said that about a lot of films on Action Film Face Off. I mean it as maximum as I can here. It is a no holds barred thrill ride. Everything looks good. Everything sounds good. Couldn't tell you anything about the music. I feel like it doesn't even really need it. It's so I'm sure there was music. I just don't remember. It's just so intense with its action that it's all you can focus on. And that's what you're supposed to do in this film. And all the action, for the vast majority of it, it looked great. It felt right. I mean, we joke about the front. We take our action seriously, but not too seriously. But you mentioned it before. Clearly, they're not cutting corners. Everybody's holding weapons right. People are reloading properly. People are checking down to alternate weapons when appropriate. It's fantastic. It is a pleasure to look at. Can't say any more than that.
It is a violent art form.
100%. Like, this guy knows what he's doing. Was this the same guy who directed the first one?
I think so. I'm getting a head nod from Kathy.
Yeah, we'll let her take.
Yeah, that's what I was going to bring that up. That this is, as a reminder, Sam Hargrave he used to be a stuntman.
Yeah, wasn't he on Wick films in the beginning? I want to say he came from the Wick tree, but I may be wrong.
Possibly.
I know Chad Stahelski was, and I think he might have been with. Don't quote me.
I don't remember. I think I was on the episode where we talked about the first Extraction.
Yeah, it went up against Superman.
Oh, Christopher.
It was a tough one. It was a tough episode.
Yeah.
It's hard.
But yeah, so I think he has an understanding that not every other director is going to have. So he knows how to put an action movie together.
I remember you bringing a fun fact from Extraction 1 about how basically they're like, yeah, we're going to film this. And I think it was in Pakistan or somewhere like that. And it was strictly because like they don't have the laws.
They called it some kind of filming where they literally, like run out in the streets, film it, and then like run
guerrilla
off before-
filmmaking. Yeah.
something like that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
because like here in the States, the director can't hold the camera, and they're like, he was like literally like, strap me to this vehicle while I hold this camera. It's like crazy.
well, and that's what I'm sure we'll talk more about that kind of stuff in the best action scene section. But I watched a clip earlier today of the helicopter on the train. I don't know where he was when he was filming, because that's what he does is when, as a director, he does hold the camera because he puts himself in the same situation or the same positions or whatever that these stuntmen are going to do. And he says his body knows those positions, so it's easier for it to get. But the scene with the helicopter I was talking about, he said he could literally, those were real stuntmen. They were not harnessed into that helicopter.
No,
As they're
I can
like
tell.
sitting on the side of that helicopter. And he's like, they could have fallen off and died. But he said he was so close to them that he could literally reach out and touch them. So my thought was, I was thinking part of that time it was a drone. So I don't know if he was strapped to the others, like part of the helicopter. I don't know, but I would love to. I feel like the behind the scenes, like on the DVD of these movies, has got to be top notch.
Yeah, Netflix could definitely just release the making of Extraction films.
Absolutely.
I would watch it 100%.
I feel like there was
100%, yeah.
one for the first one, because I feel like that's where I watched him talk about in the first movie how he was strapped to the car in some of those scenes. But yeah, we'll definitely talk about the 21-minute scene and action scenes.
Well, all right then. I think that wraps it up. And so all we have to do now is score them and see what kind of score, Jared, you're going to give for Spectacle for Telefon.
We talked about it up front. Telefon is more of a thriller than it is an action film, so this is an absolute compliment to it. When I give it a 7 for Spectacle, it's one of those movies where it's simple, but all the simplicity has a nice polish to it. So I'm gonna give it a 7, which is not where I lean heavily in 70s films. So I like this one quite a bit.
I was a little bit lower. I gave it a 6. I thought, for action film wise, there just wasn't a lot of meat on that bone. If it was thriller film Face Off, it'd be getting at least an 8. But for action film Face Off, for me, it gets a 6. Let's move over to Extraction and see what you are giving Extraction.
10.
Flawless victory.
10.
Wow.
Can't take your eyes off of it. Constant cool stuff happening. 10.
All right. I gave it a little bit lower here, too. I gave it a 9 for reasons that you touched on. It started feeling a little too video gamey for me there on the train a little bit.
I get it, yeah.
Whatever they did to him in therapy, they must have given him like adamantium bones and bionic arms and legs, because he got rolled in a train. I mean, he got beat up so bad. Like how these things any of his limbs aren't broken, I have no idea. But yeah, this is ace material action. This is action junkie stuff, man. So 9 for me. All right. So Kathy, that just leaves you. Sniper bullet. Who's getting the Spectacle sniper bullet? I think this is formality, but I'll let you take it from here.
Yeah, it's a tough one, isn't it? I will note I did look, and Sam Hargrave, he came from the Marvel universe. He did stuff, work with Thor and Captain America Winter Soldier, which I mentioned earlier.
I feel like one of the Russos was involved in this as a writer.
Yes, both. Yeah, I think both brothers. Mm-hmm. Okay. Or it might have just been Anthony. Is it Anthony Russo?
Okay. Got from the Marvel tree. Okay.
Correct, yes. But yeah, 100% the bullet is going to Extraction too.
All right. Hey, I'll give another nod to Raiders of the Lost Ark when that guy had his arm on fire in Raiders. Rick had his arm on fire.
We'll talk about that's in the 21-minute sequence. Yep. It's like, so his arm he was fighting with his arm on fire for that long, and it looks like it just went out on its own. But
we'll add Johnny Storm and Frank Castle to Jason's Marvel lineup that he played in that 21.
I was thinking Iron Fist kind of too,
a lot of Frank Castle, man.
Oh man, cool stuff. All right, well, I think that wraps it up. Then I'll pass it over to you, Jared, for round 5.
It's time to die.
Okay, round 5 is best action scene on Action Film Face Off. We're looking for good action scenes. Jason breaks these down for us. I will not blame you, Jason, if you break down Extraction 2 with first half of movie, second half of movie. But hey, do it how you want. But let's start with Telefon 1977. Like we said, not a ton of action to pick from. I have a feeling we're going to agree on our favorite scene, but let's find out. How'd you break it down? Only a couple? I don't know. What do you got?
I only had two. I had the chase at the hotel, and I called that one, man, these 70s cars can't turn for crap. Because old boy tried to get out and couldn't even make that turn.
Like Austin Powers.
Okay, the second one was at the bar in Texas, the end of Donald Pleasance there. I mean, this is just really a thought more than a clever title, but I really thought he was going to kill Donald Pleasance with that snake. I thought that snake was going in the phone booth somehow.
Yeah, the snake ended up being a distraction. We were all rooting for the snake.
The distraction was that lady screaming in the background.
I know, like, shut up, lady.
But
that helped because Donald Pleasance was having a hard time getting the code.
Which is funny because you couldn't even have done that today because you just get your cell phone and be like, unknown caller, click. You're not going to pick it up.
Right. These Russian machinations would not work today.
So those were the only two that I had there.
What did you end up calling it?
I just called it. I really thought he was going to kill Donald Pleasance with that snake.
Oh, that's what you got? Okay.
That's what I called it.
Since it was at a bar, how about snake rattle and roll?
Sure.
Snake rattle and roll. It's better than mine.
All right, so we really only had two to pick from.
Snaken, not stirred.
They're all coming to you now.
now I'm on fire.
Oh, my goodness. All right, we had two to pick from. Jason, what was your favorite?
I like the hotel chase there. I thought that was really gritty, pretty cool. And the way that it ended, ended violent. Really enjoyed that scene. So, yeah, the hotel chase. Or these 70s cars can't turn for crap.
I like it, and I concur. A hotel chase was my favorite action scene. Again, great thriller, but as far as lots of, what's going on, and movement, yeah, it was my favorite. Kathy, did you like that one as well, or were you bigger on the snake bar syndrome?
Of those two, I would go with the car chase. But actually, I loved all the explosions and stuff. I would have picked those if those would have been choices. But of the two y'all mentioned, I like the car chase.
Yeah, when that soccer mom blew up, was it like a oil refinery or something?
It's some kind of plant. It seems like that was my favorite one.
That was a pretty good explosion.
Yeah,
it was a good explosion. But...
And she had to set everything up. I mean, she didn't just have to push a button. She had to get the
I kind of wish they edited that tighter because I was like, all right, just blow it up.
No, I think that led to the suspense of it.
I was watching it and I told Drake, I was like, man, that'd be because I didn't know what was in the box that she dug up.
Right.
Well, that would have been funny if he just activated that spy because her job was just to dig up the box. I'm just too lazy to dig up this box.
I don't like getting my hands dirty.
Well, and a couple of times when I was first watching it, I thought that he was trying to get them to kill themselves. So that's
part of the bargain usually, yeah.
I think that's why hers was the most suspenseful because, the other two, he's the one guy ran the truck into the building. The other was was it a helicopter or was it a plane that he crashed or got shot down?
Yeah.
He got shot down.
Yeah.
I thought he was trying to get them all to somehow kill themselves. So I was confused, but.
Did she die? The soccer mom die?
She had the cyanide pill she took.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Let's go to Extraction 2. I'm going to play a fun game within the game. I think Jason broke it down to 4.
I did.
All right. Let me hear how you did. I think I know how you did it, but let me hear how you did.
So I kind of broke the jailbreak scene up into 2. One inside the prison and then once when they're outside the prison. Because it was kind of like 2 different sets to me. Inside the prison, you have the tension and the fighting and blah, blah, blah. And then outside, there's a pretty good car chase, the train scene, and ultimately the escape. So broke those down into 2 pieces. The first one I called Jailbreak, or the Tasmanian Devil went down to Georgia.
Yeah.
Because he's
tied a lot of things in.
Yeah. Then the second one I called Jailbreak Part 2, or Train, oh, take me on out of this town. From Train, oh, take me from out of this town.
Who sings it? It's driving me nuts.
Train.
We can't remember either.
Oh, it's the Bon Jovi, I think. Okay. One, I think. Yeah. So then the third one was the Austrian Hotel. I called this one, this hotel's online feedback is going to take a hit. Because
Yelp reviews.
Are
down.
Thumbs down.
Down. Yeah.
The last one was the fight in the church, and I called that one Let Us Pray, but I spelled pray, P-R-E-Y.
Yo, 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 yeah.
Oh, yo, yo. Could have called nailed you.
I think I said it out loud. I was like, oh, we nailed him. All right. Which one was your favorite?
I liked Jailbreak Part 1. I love that fight in the yard, man.
It was great, and I loved it. I know it's video gaming, but I'm going with the train. I just thought it was so fun to watch. Kathy, what are you going with?
Well, first I'm going to throw a flag on the play because that is the 21-minute sequence. You can't break that up into two different ones. It was literally. If I have to split it up, then I'm going to go with the train. We really didn't get to talk much about how amazing the choreography has to be with everybody, even in the yard scene.
Yes.
Like even the extras have to be doing exactly what they're being told to do in those scenes because they're not reshooting it. They're doing one long take.
Yep.
Oh, it just amazes me that they can do that.
There are lots of little fights going on in every scene.
That's, I guess, why it took 4 to 5 months to rehearse to get everything perfect. And it looks perfect to me. But if I have to split it up, I'm going with the train section because when I saw, like I said, the small behind the scenes clip of them hanging off that helicopter and that the fact that they really landed a helicopter on that train.
I really thought that if I broke it up if I kept that together, that 21-minute sequence, it wouldn't even be a conversation. It's that. I mean,
it could have been a 21 gun salute.
Yeah.
Kathy's torn it on your paper. So let's score these. Let's go back to Telefon. We all liked the tense moment at the hotel, which I'm always fascinated about how especially in the late 70s, early 80s, they thought computers were going to work. Oh, hang on. Clickety, clickety, click. Oh, he's up in the restaurant. You can't even do that now. Like, barely do that now. Like, you'd have to have like an air tag on you. Anyways, Jason, 1 to 10.
I gave that one a 6 as well. I thought decent action scene, but
I don't know if you've noticed this, but I'm kind of a homer for Telefon. I gave it a 7. And the most important thing about that is as we move to our scores for Extraction 2, you like the first part of the Prison Break. I like the second part of the Prison Break. If we match, Kathy gets her 6.
All right.
So let's find out what you scored.
Wait, you said 6, right?
Yeah, you called 6 on this one. And we are at 5 right now. Jason, what'd you score?
This one gets a 10.
Flawless victory.
Top-notch action film sequence. So
match game number 6. Kathy wins. I scored part 2 at 10 as well.
Flawless victory.
Oh, Kathy, she's dancing on screen. You win respect. Doesn't get you a ton, but that's what you got. So respect to Kathy and her guesses. And speaking of Kathy, we got to round this out. You got to pick which movie had better action sequences. At home, folks, I'll edit out the silence while she considers it, and I'll just truncate it down to when she gives her answer.
I'm picturing that scene at the end of Extraction 2 when he's laying there. He's like, I won't quit. And then he just gets the one bullet in the head. Pop. I think this is what's coming. The pop.
That is the one. That is the one bullet right there. Extraction 2, no doubt.
Charles Bronson comes in with that one bullet he used. I got this. I got it. All right. Well, that's the end of round 5.
Well, all right. Well, we still have one more round to go, folks, and that is the deduction round here in round 6.
Prepare to meet Kali in hell.
It's a reduction for the ridiculous. Again, we can take up to 10 points off for anything or things we think is a low point in the movie. We use this power sparingly. We're cautious in the use of our power. But let's see what Jared has to say about deduction round for Telefon.
Nothing. I kind of clowned it for having a phone booth in the middle of an overpass on the highway, which I don't think I've ever seen in my life. Not worth a deduction, though. Plus, I wasn't there in 77. Well, I was 1.
But I was 6, so I wasn't really observing the phone booth either.
Weird spot for a phone booth. But anyway, no deduction.
Okay, me neither. I thought it was really good. And you're right about the computer. The computer.
Clickety, clickety, click. Oh, he's in the restaurant. What? What?
She's like, oh, don't talk like that to the computer, like it's ChatGPT or something.
Yeah, that was weird.
There was a note in the trivia about her typing in, and when it's like dropped down and then it looked like it tabbed over and then it dropped down and tabbed over again. I don't remember what it said, but they said you would have had to write a program for it to do that. It wouldn't have just done that.
Somebody programmed for like 6 hours to get that scene.
Exactly.
Somebody's not getting the credit they deserve. All right, Jared, let's talk about deduction for extraction. Are you going to reduce the scores any here?
Got my pencil out. Yes, I am.
What?
Whoa.
Okay. First of all,
you really are trying to sabotage this for telephone, aren't you? Somebody triggered your program.
I got a call earlier, and all right. First of all, I'm not going to deduct for this, but I have to say it because to me it's hilarious. Remember the final battle was in the church, and the church was being restored. Could you imagine the restoration workers coming in that morning? Like, what? There's like 14 bullet holes in this thing.
My nails are all over the floor.
What is happening? Because of our military quasi strictness on this podcast, Jason, I get it. It has to be exciting. They do it in John Wick as well, and in even more of a slightly laughable fashion with their bulletproof suits. All right. We have a lot of people taking shots to the vest and just keep on fighting. And you know, and I know, one single shot to your vest, especially at that range. For folks at home that don't know, Jason, have you ever shot in your vest? Have you been shot in the vest?
I've never been shot in the vest. I've known somebody who got shot.
Same here. I've been nearby. And from all indications, what the guy told me and from what I've seen, it is very much as if you are standing there, just, no vest or nothing, just standing like a normal person. And someone comes up with a sledgehammer and hits you as hard as they can.
Yeah. Hits you.
You are not fighting after
that. And if you remember, some of the bullets and stuff they had were like bulletproof glass piercing bullets too.
Yeah, so. Like the bullets, they're just popping. I mean, there was points where they popped 3 rounds into a guy's vest and he just keep fighting. I'm like, no, you're done. You're done for the day. You're done for a couple of days. You're gonna have big bruises. You've seen the bruises. Jason's seen the bruises. The guys who got hit in the vest. They're huge.
I had a buddy who got shot in the back. Well, it was with an RPG. It didn't detonate, which is why he's still alive to tell the tale.
There was like a 30-minute span where he wished it did.
Oh, we laughed. We were laughing about it afterwards because he was like, "Oh, that dude out there was like, God, I hit him. Stupid, it didn't go off."
But man, he wished it did at some point because I had to hurt like a mother.
Oh, his back, he had a bruise, like it was a black bruise about the size of a dinner plate.
Oh man, absolutely.
It was like right on the top of his back.
Well, here's a question to the military veterans in the classroom. Did you want to take off anything for telephone? Because apparently their guns were not, this is Russian though, like their guns were not appropriate for the time period from what the trivia said. And their uniforms were definitely not.
Oh, all got past me.
That was.
It was the 70s, so not my super wheelhouse.
Okay, just checking.
But I believe you. it just got past me. This did not get past me. Watching people take several shots to the vest and they just keep fighting like nothing happened. I'm like, nah. I got to go -1. It makes for great film to watch, and I wouldn't have it any other way.
As I say, I think too many movies rely on that these days because, like I said,
it's super silly.
The first stab in the leg, and I'm going to be like, "Oh no, I'm done."
Like Jason said, after the train rolled and everything, and they came tumbling out. Old girl who fought the guy in the cab had like 3 stab holes in her. And like 12 hours later, she's just kicking butt like nothing.
Exactly.
God dang, man.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'll let all that go, but I have to go -1. I know Extraction has the points to spare, so it's going to be okay. But I had to go -1 for shots to the vest.
I didn't take any off, but I can agree with you there. All right. That wraps it up.
All right. That's the end of our official rounds. Now, don't you worry if you haven't been keeping up with the math at home, folks. We do that for you. Taking a look at Match Game, Kathy won it all with 6. She called it, and she was right. Match Game 6.
She's the best around.
Anyways, and Sniper Bullets, Kathy was very favorable to Extraction 2, giving it 4 out of the 5 Sniper Bullets. And looking at the judges' scorecards, the winner this episode of Action Film Face Off with a score of 84 to 72. Extraction 2.
All right. Well, congratulations to Extraction 2. Now let's head over to the randomizer and find out what the years are going to be for the next episode. And it's retro rewind time. Retro.
Meow, 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 meow. Just to let the listeners at home know, a reminder on that, we recalibrate the randomizer to go from 1950 to 1969.
Everything else still the same. Well, my brother Jared will be pulling a film from
Choose Your Destiny.
1969. And I will bring a film from
Choose Your Destiny.
1950. What will those films be? Well, we'll tease them on social media for those of you who want to watch before listening. And we're thinking of you, Dave. Or you can tune in next episode and find out. Till then, I'm Jason Weasel Skull Albrecht, and you can find me on social media at Jason Albrecht on Facebook, Instagram, and Threads.
And you can find me, Jared Albrecht, the Yard Sale Artist, a.k.a. Death Probe, at Yard Sale Artist, X, Facebook, Instagram. Kathy.
I can be found on all social media at AUKathy2418, and that's Kathy with a K.
Be sure to check out all the shows under the Longbox Crusade umbrella by subscribing to Longbox Crusade on all those finer podcatchers out there. We're also on YouTube. You go directly to www.longboxcrusade.com. Questions, comments, just look for Longbox Crusade, X, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. And we do have a specific account for this show on X, which is at AFFO Podcast if you are interested. And if you want to have a lot of fun, leave us a voicemail. Let us know your thoughts. 707-532-5269. 707-532-LBOX.
Pick up the telephone.
Miles to go before we sleep. Thanks for tuning in. We appreciate you listening. And until next episode, keep your head down.
And your knuckles up.
The intro and outro theme to this show and all of our Action Film Face-Off shows are done by musical genius Joe November. Check out his SoundCloud at JOSEFLIN99. You will not regret it. We have 2 films, 5 categories. That means 10 possible matches. Let's go through that as if I went through puberty. 10 possible matches.
Here's a little side note just for Jared. We're gonna score tonight. We're gonna score tonight.
I recently had to watch Grease 2 for a Best Under 5 episode. And it was Kathy's recommendation. I haven't forgiven her yet.
It's good stuff.
You got bullets to spare.
He gets a point taken away because he didn't want to kiss her at the airport scene in the filming because he was like, when I meet my wife at the airport, we don't kiss, so I don't want to do it in this scene. So he gets a point taken away from that.
Girls. This is why we shouldn't have girls in Action Film Face-Off.
I mean, I can go. I haven't slept in a week. So.
We're almost done hanging there.
Don't make her grumpy. She hasn't slept.
I was really hoping you would go because there were like 3 cars all spinning around. You'd go some kind of threesome way, but I'm disappointed in you, Jason.
Oh, man. That's some low-hanging fruit, Kathy.
I'm sorry. You probably should have that looked at.
Kathy's getting late for her.
She's getting punchy.
Yeah.
Which I was like, I was so worried that they were going to make a goof on that scene because it was literally like taped in the box and she pulled it off and wrapped the peel in the tape and then she put it like in her pocket of her bathrobe. And when she pulled it back out, I was like, she's going to take that peel without taking the tape off. But they didn't.
Yeah, they spared you nothing in that sequence.
I was quite impressed though, because that, continuity is a big thing I noticed. And she actually took the tape off and put it in there, but she didn't look like she actually bit it. It literally looked like she put it in her mouth and went.
She's going to blow him away.
You're supposed to let me finish it off.
And Jared, I want you to know that you are not a weirdo.